Hello, all my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach, and welcome back to my crochet channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this hot pad or pot holder that's shaped like a Valentine or heart. It's a really nice size because it measures about 12 inches by 10 inches across. So it's a really nice size. It's also great for decorating. You could make several of these and put them on the table, put some candies or candles. And also remember, Valentines or hearts are not just for Valentine's Day. There are lots of other occasions that you can make hearts and Valentines for, as well as if you just like Valentines and like to decorate with hearts around your house. Now this is a really thick hot pad. We stitched it up using 2 strands of cotton. That way it's nice and thick and won't burn the table if you want to set something hot on it, like off the stove or out of the oven. This particular one I stitched up with acrylic yarn. Now, you don't want to put anything hot on acrylic yarn. And so for our demonstration, I'll be using cottons so you can see how it works out with cotton as well. Now, you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make our heart-shaped pot holder, you're going to need, of course, some cotton yarns. Or if you're just going to use it for a decoration, you can use acrylic. Now I have a bunch of different cotton yarns out here just to show you. This one is Peaches and Cream. It's the stripey. I've got I love this cotton in sparkle and pink and this ivory color. This is Premier Home. This one is only 85% cotton. We also have this. This is Mainstay 100% cotton. And I've got a bunch of pinks and creams and ivories here because that's what I'm going to be using for my demonstration today. When you stitch with a deep red, it's really difficult to see. Although I want to make one in red, I'm not going to use that for my demonstration. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing the body of my heart in this yarn here in the Mainstay 100% cotton. Then I'm going to use this ivory, and then I'm also going to use this variegated for my trim. I think it would be really pretty. I'll use the ivory where I have the white, and I'll use this variegated where I have this pinky peach color, more of a melon. So you're going to need about 5 ounces of your main color because we are going to be holding 2 strands together. And then you need about a 1/2 ounce of your ivory and a 1/2 ounce of whatever color you're using for your trim. And of course, you can do your colors however that you want. Keep in mind, if you're going to use it as a hot pad and put something hot on it, stick with cotton yarns. If it's a decoration, maybe just using it as a doily, then acrylic yarns are fine. And of course, you don't have to use traditional colors. You use whatever colors you have in your yarn stash. Now I have 2 crochet hooks here. That's because we'll be using 2 different hooks. For the body portion of our heart, we're going to be using a K hook, 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, because we'll be holding those 2 strands together. For the trim portion, the white and this melon color, we're only going to be using 1 strand, and so we'll be using our H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle just for weaving in ends, and then of course a pair of scissors. I'm going to be using 2 strands of this pink yarn. This is the Mainstay 100% cotton medium weight number 4. Now rather than roll it into 2 balls, what I'm doing is I'm pulling 1 strand off the outside and 1 strand from the inside to work my project. That way I don't have to roll it into 2 balls. But if you feel like it's a little clumsy, that way you can roll it into 2 balls and do it that way. All right, do what works best for you. Alrighty, so we're going to be holding 2 strands of our yarn together. We'll be starting down at the bottom point of our heart and then working our way up. All right? All right, so we're going to begin with our slip knot. We're going to chain 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to place 3 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. Yarn over, go in that 4th chain and stitch a double crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now, as I'm working, I'm pulling those yarns so they stay together. We don't want one of them drooping down or getting caught. And when you first start working with 2 strands, it can be a little bit clumsy. Just take your time and enjoy the process. All right, so I've stitched those 3 double crochets. The chain 3 here counts as 1, so I have 4 double crochets, and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And so for row 1, we have 4 double crochets, chain 3. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet on our next row. So we're going to turn and stitch a double crochet in that first stitch. We're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. And then in our last stitch, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. And that last double crochet that we're stitching in is that beginning chain 3. So there's 1 and 2. There we go. And chain 3. So we increased at the beginning and end of our row. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double crochets for row 2. We've chained 3. We're going to turn our work. We'll stitch a double crochet in this first double crochet. We'll stitch 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets across. And then when we reach that last double crochet, we'll stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Chain 3. And now we went from 4 to 6 to 8 double crochets. Chain 3 and turn. We'll stitch a double crochet in that first double crochet. Again, 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets across. One more. And then again, when we reach that last double crochet, we'll stitch 2 double crochets in that last stitch. And so basically what we're doing is increasing at the beginning and end of each row. Four, 6, 8, and 10 double crochets and chain 3 on our 4th row. All right, let's do a few more rows. Chain 3, turn, double crochet in the first double crochet, and then we'll continue to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets across. Got to keep my 2 strands together. We don't want any drooping. Which Which, by the way, I really am enjoying using this mainstay cotton. If you haven't tried it, it's a sturdy and soft cotton. All right, so now I'm to my last stitch, and I'm going to place 2 double crochets in that last double crochet. 1 and 2. Four, 6, 8, 10, and 12 double crochets. Chain 3 and turn. And repeat. 2 double crochets in the first. 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets across. I stitched 1 double crochet in each stitch across, and then again in that last double crochet I'm stitching 2 double crochets. There we go, and chain 3 and turn and repeat. Double crochet in the first stitch, 1 double crochet in each of those stitches across, just like we just did. We'll repeat that across. I stitched 1 double crochet in each of those stitches across, and then 2 double crochets in the last stitch. So for row 7, you should have 16 double crochets. Our chain 3 counts as 1. We stitched 1 in that first stitch, 1 in each across, and then 2 in the last for 16 double crochets. Now what you're going to do is you're going to continue to repeat this for 3 more rows. You'll increase at the beginning and end of each row, just as we've been doing, and you'll repeat that for 3 more rows. I continued to repeat what we have been doing, 2 double crochets at the beginning, 1 in each stitch across, and 2 at the end. And so we should have 10 rows, and on our 10th row, we're going to have 22 double crochets. All right, so now we're going to begin forming the heart bumps. So we've chained 3. We're going to turn our work. We're going to begin by stitching a double crochet in the next stitch. We have been stitching in that first one. Our chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet, and so we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Our chain 3 counts as 1, and then we stitch the next one. So now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right. So our chain 3 counted as 1. We stitched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 because we stitched 1 and then 9 more. So we have 11 double crochets. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. And we'll leave these stitches unworked. We're going to work one of our heart bumps first, and then we'll come back and work the other one. And so we chained 3, counts as our first double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets back across. And again, we'll have 11 double crochets. Bring this down here. Alrighty. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 double crochets. So we stitched 2 rows with just 11 double crochets. Now we're going to begin forming the first heart bump. Instead of chaining 3, we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to stitch the first 2 double crochets together. Yarn over, go in the first, and pull up a loop. Then we'll go in the next double crochet and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through the first 3. Yarn over and go through the last 2. Now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that leaves 2 double crochets at this end of this row. And we'll stitch those 2 together. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. Then we'll go in the next stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 3. Yarn over and go through the last 2 and chain 1. And so you'll see that we decreased here and here, and so now we only have 9 double crochets instead of 11. Now we're going to repeat that. So we've chained 1 and turned. We'll stitch the first 2 double crochets together. One double crochet in each of the stitches across till we reach the last 2. Five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll stitch the last 2 stitches together. Chain 1 and repeat that one more time. Stitch the first 2 double crochets together. One double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3, and then stitch the last 2 double crochets together. 1 and 2. Now we're going to tie off, so we're going to cut our yarn and just tie that off. All right, we'll weave this in later, but what we need to do next is work on the heart bump on this side. I took a couple minutes and went ahead and weaved that end in, and I'll show you how I did that when I get to the end of this one. So we have these left 11 stitches, so we're going to take our yarn, we're going to go right in that next stitch, pull that in and chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet. Now I have this tail of yarn and I'm going to stitch over it on this first row. So we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets across. And again, I'm stitching over that tail of yarn, and that'll make it easier when I come back in to weave it in. 1 double crochet in each of the stitches across, and you're going to have 11 stitches, just like we did on that first side. There we go. Got to get in that chain 3 as my last double crochet. Chain 3 and turn our work. And you can see here where I stitched over that, and so that'll make it easier for me to weave that in. And now we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 11 stitches. Now our chain 3 counted as our first, and then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in each across. Remember, we're not increasing here, we're just stitching 1 double crochet in each of those 11 stitches. And chain 1. Now, just to repeat, our chain 3 counted as our first, and then we stitched 1 in the next 10, and then we chained 3 and repeated that. So we have 11 on this side and 11 on this side. All right? We chained 1. We're going to turn our work. We're going to decrease or stitch 2 double crochets together. One double crochet in the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There we go. Then we'll stitch the last 2 together. Chain 1 and turn, and finish this up just like we did on this side. Stitch 2 together, stitched 5 double crochets, and then we'll stitch these last 2 together. Chain 1 and turn, and stitch the first 2 together. One double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and then stitch the last 2 together. We'll tie off, and I want to show you how I weave those in. So we're going to turn this over, and we're going to take our needle and we're going to do one of these strands at a time. And this gives you a really good weave in rather than doing them both together. All right, and this particular cotton is easier to weave in than some of the other ones. You want to make sure you go through stitches and fibers and go back and forth. All right, and then we'll just do the other one. And then we'll do these 2 as well, the exact same way, one strand of yarn at a time, going in those fibers and stitches, not the holes, and going back and forth. And this is really important when you're doing something that's going to be used, because used a lot, I should say, in going through the laundry. You want it to last, and you don't want those strands to come undone if you're going to be putting it through the laundry. All right, so I'll go ahead and weave these 2 in, and then I'm also going to go ahead and weave these in at the bottom, and then I'll show you how to add that fun trim. I took a few minutes and tidied up my heart. I weaved in the ends here and in the back, and it's all nice and tidied up. Now we're going to do the trim. Now for the first row of trim, we're still going to be using our main color, but we're switching to one strand of yarn and our H hook, which is our 5mm crochet hook. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to this corner and join our yarn using one strand and our H hook, and we're basically just going to evenly single crochet around the whole heart before we add our trim. All right, so we're just going to go in the sides of those stitches, and I am stitching over that tail of yarn right there, and we're joining right up here on the corner. It's not really a corner, but the edge of our heart bump, because we're going to stitch around, and then at the end we're going to add a hanger there so we can hang it up if we want to. So I'm just evenly single crocheting all the way around the edge of my heart, and try to go in stitches and not holes. And I do want to say again, I am really enjoying using this mainstay cotton. It's a combination of the softness of the I Love This cotton and the sturdiness of Like a Peaches and Cream. It's like the best of both worlds. So if you've never tried, let me grab the label again. This is a Walmart cotton, mainstay 100% cotton, and they have several colors: pink, green, blue, but they're mostly pastels, I believe, but maybe they'll get more shades. All right, so I'm just going to evenly single crochet around the whole edge of my heart, and then we'll come back in and add that trim. I evenly single crocheted, working all the way around my heart, and there is not a set number of stitches. You just need to make sure they're not puckered up and there isn't too much space in between. You want it to lay nice and flat and pretty. I did add an extra 2 stitches down here in the corner so that it would lay nice and pointed. All right, so we're back around here where we started. We're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and cut our yarn. We're going to be bringing in our next color for our trim. It's really quite easy. We're going to bring in our next color, which is this ivory. Has a little bit of sparkle to it. There we go. And we'll chain 1, snug everything down. And the way we do this is we're going to single crochet in the next single crochet and chain 1. Then we'll single crochet in the next single crochet and chain 1. And we'll do this all the way around the outside of our heart in each one of those single crochets. Single crochet in the single crochet, chain 1, and repeat. And we do it this way because this is going to give just a little bit of a rippliness to it and also help it lay really pretty. So just to repeat, single crochet in each single crochet and chain 1. See how that lays? Isn't that pretty? We'll do this all the way around our heart and then join back to that first single crochet. Single crochet, chain 1 in each of the single crochets, working all the way around the outside of our heart. I have stitched almost all the way around the trim, but I did want to show you in this inside corner, in those 3 stitches, I don't add the chain 1 in between. I just put 3 single crochets in those 3 stitches. That way it lays a lot flatter. And then once I get past those 3, then I go back to stitching the single crochet, chain 1. If you put those chain 1s in there, it's not a problem really, but it makes it not lay as flat. We want it to lay nice and flat and pretty. So in those 3 stitches in that inside corner or point of our heart, those 3 single crochets, don't put a chain 1 in between. I finished stitching that row of the trim. Here's my last chain 1. I'm going to join to my first stitch with a slip stitch and cut my yarn. And I'm going to bring in this bright pink stripy yarn. Now this has a long stripe, so we'll see how it works for the last row of our trim. All right, so we'll just bring that in. We're going to chain 2 and single crochet in the next single crochet. Chain 2, single crochet in the next single crochet. Chain 2. This is going to give us a little bit more of a ripple edge, so it has a little bit of a lacy look. So chain 2, single crochet in the single crochet. Chain 2, single crochet in the single crochet. And we'll do this all the way around our heart. And then I'll show you what we're going to do in the top point there where we did those single crochets. Over here, we'll do the same thing and just stitch 1 single crochet in those 3 without the chain 2s. All right, so we'll continue working around. Chain 2, single crochet in the single crochet. Chain 2 all the way around our heart. And that makes a nice lacy edge. And so again, I've stitched around, only this time of course I'm doing that last row of trim, and I wanted to show you again how to do the center of this, and that is we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in those stitches instead of doing the ruffle in between. That way that will help that lay a little bit. It is still going to be a little bit ruffly, but it will help it lay a little bit better with those 3 stitches not having the chain 2s in between. And then we'll just go right back to the chain 2 and 1 single crochet, chain 2. I have completed stitching the ruffled trim all the way around the edge. I'm going to join to my first single crochet. And if you don't want to have the tie so you can hang it up, you're going to use it maybe as a small placemat or doily, then you don't have to put it on there. But if you want it, all you need to do is chain 15 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then go right back in with a slip stitch. There we go. And cut that off. And then of course we'll go in that next stitch there, pull that to the back, grab that loop, pull that to the back because we want that to look nice and neat. And yes, we do have a few ends to weave in. All right, I think I just pulled the wrong string. Let's see. There we go. So now we'll turn it to the back and we need to weave in all these ends. We have a pink one from our body of our heart. We have the white ones and we have the 2 from our trim. And again, I'm going to do these all individually. Thread them on my needle, weave them through some stitches and some fibers so they stay nice and secure when they go through the laundry. All right, so I'm just going to tidy up my heart. So I've tidied up my heart. It looks really pretty and I really like it in the cotton. The long striping yarn on the outside turned out really pretty, and it's a really nice hot pad in cotton. And of course, here is our acrylic one, and they're both super pretty, and I love them both. And see how easy that was to make our heart-shaped hot pads that you can use for decorations any time of the year, because remember, hearts are not just for Valentine's Day.